Walls are probably the most important thing that you are going to do on this model. Walls are where you reference everything, and they also are kind of the backbone of all of the things that attach to them. So depending on how tall your wall is, you'll have to use different sized note cards. I found that these big guys work the best for me, so that's what I'm going to use. But if you have shorter walls, or if you just want to tape some different ones together, all is good. So what I always do is I first go ahead and tape a couple of these note cards together. This just gives me something to work with. And I'm taping it on the front. If you are planning on having colored walls, you need to tape it on the back. Then I'm going to cut out however tall my walls are. So I'm going to make a little mark here that says this is how tall my wall is. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side so that I know for sure that my walls are the same height. Now, before I go cutting anything, I need to draw a line across as my reference line. What I'm drawing right now is saying this is the floor of my model. So my walls are this tall. But you have to give yourself a lip to attach your walls with. If you do not give yourself a lip, you are not going to be able to attach your walls to your floor. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to measure just across. You want to use a ruler on this. Don't just eyeball it like I'm doing. And I'm going to say that's where I want my lip to start. Then you will fold across the floor line of your wall. You're going to fold across the floor line of your wall. So this is the one that's a little bit higher than where your lip is going to end. You'll fold all the way across it. And then this will attach to your floor, and you don't have to worry about anything. If this is massive for you, you just will cut out where I just drew that line. And so once you go to attach it, that'll make it a little bit easier because you won't have to have a massive thing behind it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to show you what that's going to look like. Notice how whenever I draw across my tape, there's nothing there. That's the reason I say if you are going to color your walls, they need to be done, you need to tape it on the back, because then your pencil or your marker or whatever you're using will actually come through. All right, now I've got a pretty solid wall, and this one actually isn't going to stretch as far as I need it to for all three of mine. So if I was doing this in real time, I would add another note card over here to the side. But to save some time and to save some supplies, I'm not going to do that. So now that I have these figured out, I have to figure out where my walls fold. So I'm going to do this using my floor plan. If you did your front view to where your walls actually extend all the way, you can totally do it that way too. But I'm just going to use my floor plan because I think that's going to be a little bit easier for what I'm doing. I'm going to say that's where I need to end. You can either measure this or you can just put little dots on either side as long as you are very careful and you make sure that they are very precise. I'm going to draw my reference line. And now this is going to be where my wall folds. So my walls fold in. Sometimes you can have walls that fold out, but I bet all of yours are going to be folding in too. So from here, you're just going to fold along this line in. Make sure that you fold it the right direction. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. You can just go and fold it the opposite direction. It'll just make it a little less sturdy. So you can see that I actually folded a little bit off of my line. So if I was going to do this in real time, I would actually go back in and I would fold it more accurately. But for the sake of this model, I'm just going to keep going. When you go to attach your floor and your walls, you have to make sure that you cut this little slit right here on your tab. The reason for that is if you don't cut it, your walls don't fold very well, and your tab has a really hard time folding with it. So if you can see, whenever I fold my walls, that tab actually creates a little triangle in there. So when it's straight, it attaches, but when I go to fold it, it comes apart. So that little cut makes it easier for you to attach. Then I would go in here and I would do the same thing for my other wall. So I would say that's how long that wall is. I would make my little dot. I would do the same thing on this side. I would make my little dot. If this is confusing to you, what you're doing right now is you are just measuring your walls so that they're the same length on your floor plan and your front view. And I would cut my little tab out. And now I have a wall that will actually stand up and do what I need it to do. So when I go to attach this to my 3D model, I now have tabs that I can attach it with. You can see here on the back how they attach to my floor. And when I tape it down, those walls will actually stand. The reason I have you guys draw your floor plan multiple times is because when I go to attach this to the ground, if I already have my floor plan copied, I can just attach this to my copy. And so I can say, there's where that wall goes, tape it down, and then I can just tape these walls down. And now they are in the same spot that they are supposed to be on using my floor plan. If I don't have a copy of that floor plan, I have to do things like measure angles, and that becomes really complicated really fast. So for the sake of what you guys are doing, that's how you're gonna do it. One last thing before I finish this video. Before you ever tape this to the ground, you have to color it first. So if you have designs, if you have doors, if you have windows, if you have paintings, anything at all that attaches to your walls, you have to color and tape and cut out and everything those first before you stick this on your ground. If you try to stick this down and then go back and cut out doors and windows and color your walls, you're going to be very, very hard pressed to make it look good. So you're going to color, cut out everything you need to do, then tape it down according to your floor plan. Remember, you need a second floor plan. Do not use your original. Make a copy of it. You can do that with a printer if you need to, or you can just redraw it because you already have your measurements. If you have any more questions about this, feel free to look at some of the other videos to see if they answer them. And if they don't, shoot me an email as always.